Welcome back, students. Welcome to the course Natural Language Processing. My name is Priyanka Gupta. I am working as an assistant professor in Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Data Science Department at Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad. Today I am going to discuss about the words in NLP. So I am going to discuss about what is word, how the words will be created in the different sentences and paragraph, what is utterance in that, whenever it comes to just speak that, what is disfluencies, what is word form, how it will be created, what is different word types, and how word tokens will be used, how we the token from the different sentences will be made as a different word, separate word. What is corpora? That's nothing but the lot of document. What is code switching? What is data set and data set properties? What is words actually? So before whatever we talk about processing words, we need to decide what counts as a word. Looking at one particular corpus is a collection of sentences and paragraphs. If you will see at one type of corpora, that is plural corpora, a computer readable collection of text or speech. So that will be just called as that is a computer readable collection of text, or we can say sometimes speech, whenever that is come to an audio file, right? So let's take an example. The brown corpus is there, that is already has been kept in the NLTK library. That is a corpus that is having the million words in that. That is a collection of approx 500 English text from the different genres. So there are categories has been kept with the different document. So there are a category of documents. So some type of document will be like that is categorized as a newspaper, that is categorized as a big fiction, non-fiction, academic, etc. So these all are a category from the Brown corpus, and that has been developed by the Brown University. So some of the researchers has developed this Brown corpus, and they have just pre-assembled this corpus in the NLTK library. That is Natural Language Processing Toolkit. Now, if we will say how many words are in the following Brown sentence. So let's consider a sentence. That sentence is, he stepped out into the hall, was delighted to encounter a water brother. So if I am going to count how many words are there, how many punctuations are there, so what I will found that is having the 13 words if punctuation marks will be ignored. And if I'll take out, if I'll consider the punctuation also, that is going to be just told that there are 15 words, right? So that depends on the task when we are going to treat the different punctuation. So punctuations is going to just make a different sentence that is called as a stop word, right? So those are nothing but the punctuation, the dot, the comma, the semicolon. These are nothing but they are just separating the different sense of the different sentence and segregating, just differentiating with the other sentence. And although some of the words also will be treated like punctuation. Now punctuation is for finding the boundaries of things that I have said, comma, period, and colon. So these are will be just used for to identifying some aspects of meaning, and that is also has question mark, exclamation mark, quotation mark, right? So whenever we will see there is a question mark, if there is exclamation mark, some other type of marks are there, so that is actually having the mean a sense into identify some aspects of meaning of that particular sentence, right? So for if I'll say some tasks are there, like POS tagging is there I need to just make some of the words, all the words as a tag. So post of tag is just going to segregate different forms of the words as a token, like noun, adjective, and pronoun, like that. So and parsing of the punctuation punctuation marks are going to be considered and treated as a separate word. So by using these separators, that is called as a punctuation, the word and sentences are going to be just separate by that, using those respective punctuations. So like this we have to consider whenever we are just considering a sentence, how it is going to be just we can say extract, is it with word, is it with punctuation. That will totally depend on our task, what task we are actually doing on that. If we are doing, suppose we can say text summarization, so different type of we can say methods will be applied. If you are just segregating the sentiment analysis, so the meaning of the each word and punctuation words will be different for that particular task. So according to task, the words will be classified with the punctuation or not with the punctuation. Let's discuss about utterance. Utterance will occur whenever a speaker speaks. So whenever the we can say a speaker is speaking, there will be some spoken correlate with the sentence. So suppose an utterance is nothing but it is a spoken correlate of a sentence. So suppose if consider a sentence, for example, I do mainly business data processing. So here we can see here that from here after do, some of the words are there that are not complete. These are just making the utterance out of that sentence by the speaker, what he has said, what he has speak. So whenever we will see words like this, so that is going to just going to be just simplified, just going to be identify as it is going to just make a other type of word. And here main will be just main and dash is there, means here the after main something is there that is missing. So that will be just completed with the I do mainly business data processing. So here we have to just not consider when we are extracting these utterances from the spoken words, and we have to also complete whenever the word is not complete, that is incomplete. So by the sum of the algorithm, we need to just consider those, and we need to make it complete if it is not complete. So that is a means of utterance from spoken words from the speaker. So like that we can just identify the different utterances from the different sentences. So this utterance is actually making two kinds of disfluencies. Disfluencies in a kind that is not going to be just make the sentence complete. So that is called disfluency. So in this sentence, that is going to make the broke off word main, that is going to be just right like main and dash. So that is called as a fragment. So that named as a fragment. And whenever the words like this o and will be there, that is actually called as a fillers. So filler as nothing but that is called as a fillers or filler pauses. So that is a main we can say points of this particular sentence whenever we are just considering the utterance from the spoken words. Should we consider these two words or not? So these are actually fragment and filled pauses of fillers. Whenever we are considering and analyzing the spoken words like that, incomplete words with the utterance, if so, if we should consider or not. So again, it depends on the application and task. What task we are applying, it is up to the researcher or user, whoever is just going to analyze those type of applications. So now if we are building a speech transcription system, so where we might have to eventually strip out the disfluencies. So for the, if suppose one application is there, a speech transcription system, there the transcription will be written by the machine, whatever the speaker is just is speaking. So and recognizing those speeches and words and transcript has to be just maintained by the system. In that, actually, the model will be applied, algorithm will be applied to strip out this disfluency. We don't have to consider those disfluency. So I can say, I will conclude that it is up to the application, it is up to the researcher what type of task is he is going to, she is going to just consider. There actually that application is going to just decide on the basis of application, we can decide that we have to consider utterance or not. So mainly we have to, most of the time we have to just don't consider this type of disfluency that is called as utterance, that is disaggregated in the form of fragment and fillers in the sentence. So let's move into the other disfluencies. So what are disfluencies? But sometimes we see that disfluency will be there and we have to consider those. So in those type of application, what we need to do, we that is going to sometimes it is going to just make the sentence complete. So if it is going to indicate there is a one word has been used, but that by the we can say speaker, by the means of we have to say that we have just not had done with the extraction, right extraction. We have considered as a error, manual error can be there, human error can be there. So in that case, actually this disfluency is going to be just use as a that is a filler word that is going to give us a complete word out of that. So in that condition, disfluencies like this oh and oh will be just actually helpful in the speech recognition whenever we are predicting the upcoming word. So whenever the models that is going to be predict the next word, next to next word, a sentence. So in that case, that is going to just help us to just create identify the prediction of the next word. So we have to consider those type of disfluency in that case for that application, and that is going to give us the next word out of that when it is going to do prediction. Now, because they may signal that the speaker is restarting the clause, they have the idea about the subject, and by the time constraint, by the technical error, they cannot just concluded that particular word, we can say sentence. So for that, the speech recognition, in the speech recognition, those type of errors, we can say signals is going to be just going to treated as a regular words. So that is actually a beautiful that is a beautiful use of this particular fillers and this disfluencies whenever the application like speech recognition and some other type of application will be there. In that case, the signal will be given by the speaker. They are going to give the particular idea about the you can say subject of that particular sentence as paragraph. So the machine as we can say researcher who is going to just analyze the different this type of sentences, those have to just fill that gap, and they have to just make it recognized by the system that that is a regular word whenever the speaker speaks like that. So the full sentence will be considered as a regular sentence. Now, if I'll talk about what is lemma, lemma is whenever we called as our capitalized word is there, they, while the sentence is starting with the capital word. So in that case, what is the difference between whenever the sentence, the same word has been repeated with the small words? So is as a we can say researcher, as a user, whenever we are going to just analyze those words, we have to consider those as the same word or not. So actually these are the lumped together in some of the tasks like speech recognition, and while in the other type of task like whenever we are just doing the post of tagging, part of tagging, or named entity tagging, in that case capitalization is a useful feature and that will be retained. So it will be considered in the most of the cases by the some application, and it will not be considered by the means of to just use that as the same word in the other type of application. So that is going to be just discarded or retained. So however, the inflected forms like cats versus cat. So inflected word is nothing but the from the one word, the base word will be just derived. So suppose cats are there. Here, what is base word? Cat. So cat is called as a inflected word. So here, this type of words, whenever we need to just take out the we can say base word out of the words has been used with the same we can say inflected, same word with the inflected forms, so that will be considered in the two form of words. So some in that cases, actually these two type of words has going to be considered has the same lemma. So this kind of things, the base word is called as a lemma. But whenever we are making it considered as a word form, so that is considered as a different words, right? So this is actually difference between this using this base word, not using this base word. So a lemma is a set of lexical form that is having the same stem and the same major part of a speech and the same word sense. So that is a description of the lemma. What is lemma actually? That is a set of lexical form having the same sense, same stem, that is called as a stem. The cat is will be called as a stem, and that is having the major part of a speech to just classify those the same words at the different places in the sentence or paragraph. And that is also having the same sense, that is going to just make same senses in some of the sentences of that particular paragraph. So that type of lemma or stemma will be just taken whenever the speech recognition is going to be used as a task, and whenever the other type of things like is part of speech and name tagged entity will be used, then it will be discluded. So that is a particular use of that lemma. Now let's consider what is word form. The word form is the full inflected or derived form of the word. So whenever I will call word is there and same word has been used again in that particular other sentence in the paragraph, so that in the other sense that is going to make some form, so it is going to be inflected somewhere, and it we can say derived from somewhere. So suppose cat is there, if I'll write somewhere cats, so it is going to be just called as an inflected word or derived word. So that is nothing but the different word forms. If I'll say some other words, suppose if I'll say we can say try is there. So if I'll take the three forms are there, so that is again going to make some like this. So try, trying. So that is nothing but that is going to make a word form. So for morphologically complex languages like Arabic, we often need to deal with the lemmatization. So this kind of we can say word form is going to be just taken in the different form for the different type of languages. So whenever the Arabic comes, that is actually complex language, and again and again same word can be just used in the different form. So that is going to, we need to apply the lemmatizations to just recognize those type of base words from the inflected and derived words. So for the many other tasks like if I'll consider the English language, so however the word form will be sufficient. So because two, three forms of the words will be just created, more than 2, 3 also, but that is going to just classify correctly. Why? Because the number of uses will be just less, while I will consider the other type of languages like Arabic or other language. So that is a main we can say use of this word form, independent of the different languages. That will be just considered in some languages in the less form. Some of the languages is using widely this type of we can say word forms at the different places, at inflected form of the words at different places. So we need to just classify those according to the language itself. Now let's move to the word type and word token. So if I'll say how many words are there in the English, So to answer this question, actually we need to distinguish these two ways of talking about words. So the type or the number of distinct word in a corpus. When I will consider the type, what is type? So that is nothing but the, if I'll consider a document, so a number of distinct words are there, that is called as a type of the words. If the set of the words, if the vocabulary is V, so then I will call the number of type will be the vocabulary size of the mod V. That is the set of V. So that is a proper definition of the type from the different sentences. And tokens are nothing but the total number of n number of running words. So in a particular one sentence, how many tokens will be there? These all are tokens. So how many words are there in English? So how many seven tokens are there present in this particular sentence. So running words in the one sentence is just going to make a number of token, right? So if we are ignore the punctuation, the following brown sentence has just going to be just say that is having the 16 tokens and 14 types. So let's consider this sentence only. If I have taken the 7 tokens are there. Here I have not considered the exclamation mark. If I'll consider the exclamation mark, so there that is going to be called as a there are 8 tokens present in this particular sentence. Let's consider this sentence what has been given in the example of for the brown corpus, from the brown corpus. So the sentence is they picnicked by the pool, comma, then they lay back on the grass and looked at the stars, punctuation mark. So here from this particular sentence, if I'm going to identify, there are 16 tokens are there, excluding the punctuation marks. If I include the punctuation marks, there are 18 token out of this particular sentence. And while I will just talk about the type, how many word types are there, so that is of 14 type of present here in this particular word. So number of types will be the vocabulary size. What is the vocabulary size of the how many vocabulary has been used in the particular sentence? So that is a we can say example of the word type and word tokens. Now let's see an example that I considered a table, that is a table. There some corpuses has been just named, and they how many tokens they take, how many types are there. So let's consider that. So number of words in a sentence. If I'll consider the Shakespeare corpus that is present in the NLTK library, that is a Shakespeare corpus is having the actually 884,000 tokens in that. And while I will talk about the how many types of words are there, so there are 31,000 types are there. That is going to make the number of words from the as a vocabulary in the sentence. While the brown corpus is having the 1 million tokens and 38,000 types. Other type of switchboard corpus that is having the 2.4 million and 20,000 corpus, 20,000 types of corpus. Now Coca that is having the 440 million tokens and 2 million types of vocabulary has been used in that. And let's consider a Google Ngram corpus that is having the 1 trillion type of tokens in that, and that words has been used, alphabets has been used as 13 million. So that is a rough number of types and tokens we can say from the some this corpora that is based on the English language, and that is going to having the largest corpora, that is Google Ngram corpora, that is containing the 13 million types of types itself, but that will not count as a that is having the this appearances. That this is the rough idea of the corpora, that can be more than that or that can be less than that also. So that is a rough idea how what is the actual number of words and tokens and types are there in present in the corpuses that is used for the research purposes. So that I have asked these corpus I have taken from the NLTK library itself. So that has been used widely, and that is having the largest number of corpora as a Google Ngram corpora. Now let's talk about corpora. So let's see what is corpora actually. So word don't appear out of nowhere. Whenever any particular piece of text that we study, that will be produced by one or two specific users or writers, that meaning is going to be changed. So in a specific dialect of specified language at a specified time, in a specified place, whenever for the specific function, whatever words will be just used by the different speaker, that is going to make some corpora or document out of that. So the most common important dimensions of variations is the language. Whenever I will say a corpora is there, so corpora is going to have the number of corpuses. So corpora is having the collection of document. A collection of document is going to make a corpora, and one document from that collection is called as a corpus. Corpus is nothing but the one document. One document is having the different paragraphs from that, and the different paragraph is just going to make sentences, and from that sentences we have to just extract one sentence one time at a per sentence, and one sentence is having the words, and that words is going to be classified with as a tokens, and the different type of task will be just applied on that particular text corpora words on the corpuses. So that is a we can say a chronological order of the that words till corpora. Now let's say what is NLP algorithm is going to do with that. So NLP algorithm are most powerful when they apply across many languages on the corporas. So that is the word is having the 7097 languages considered as a natural language, and at the time of this writing, that has been called as taken from the online antholog catalog. So basically I can say there are more than 7,000 to 8,000 languages are there in the world at present. To that we can work on that, we can take different corpora, we can just classify with the different classifier, that is OAPS tagging, named entity taggings. So these are all the variations of the different tasks, but the sense of the particular language will be just different from the sense of the different other language. So that's how the corpora will be different for the different uses. So that will be totally different on the language of the corpora. So that is all about corpora. Now, if I'll say it is more important to test algorithms on that for the more than one language, so that is going to be particularly on the language with the different properties. So that I have said, the corpora, different corpora is going to have the different grammar and different senses out of that. So we have to just apply the different algorithm to test for the different task out of that. But there is a tendency for NLP algorithm that is going to develop are tested just on the English type of language. So whenever the researchers and as a user, we are going to just use this all types, all tasks on that corpora, so that the most of the time the English language will be used. Even when algorithm are developed beyond the English, that is going to tell, but we don't want to limit tools to just these few languages. So most of the time the researchers are going to just apply the algorithm on the English language, but that is going to be applied on the different languages also. But the most of the time the researchers are going to just take the English language, but we should not limit ourselves. We should just change the language barrier, and we have to just do research on the different languages also, and we have to just clear on the other task of we can say algorithm also. So we must use NLP tools for that. That is going to function with the features of African American language, that is AAL, and that is going to mainstream the other type of American varieties. So these are all the different form of language we can say models, and that is going to be just create and applied on the different task, and that is going to give us the proper output or result out of that. So that is corpora. Now let's discuss what is switchboard corpus, that we have seen on the table also, that was there. So that is basically telephonic conversion between the strangers, and that is going to make some we can say documents out of that, and the collection of document has become switchboard of corpus. So the switchboard corpus of American English telephonic conversation between the strangers was collected in the early 1990s. It contains the 2430 conversations, means 2430 document out of that, and that is averaging the 6 minutes each. So that is actually spoken file, is audio file, and from the totaling of 240 hours of speech and about 3 million words in that. So the corpora of this spoken language don't have punctuations, but do we have to introduce these punctuations, because that it is going to be just make it complex, and that because of this complexity, we are not going to just define the different words and sentences. That is going to just have the stop words out of that. Whenever that is going to just complete, we don't know. So whenever we are considering the different audio files that is not having the punctuation, we as a researcher, as a user, we need to just identify those. Whenever we are going to apply some algorithm, we need to classify right algorithm, and then we need to apply the right model, so that it can just differentiate between the stop words for the different sentences, and that is going to give the relevant result out of that. Will be the use of that particular corpus. If we'll not do that, it is not going to give us the proper we can say goals out of that. So we have to just reduce this complication, and we have to make it simple as useful. So that was the switchboard corpus. So there are other type of corpus also that we have discussed. In the upcoming classes, I'll discuss about those corpuses and corporas. What is those are all about? What is the subject that? How many words are there? What is that? Conversations, what is that actually? So we will consider those in the next classes. Now come to the code switching. It's also quite common for the speakers, or we can say writers, that is going to use for the multiple languages, for the code switching with the single communicating act. That is the phenomena called as a code switching. So whenever that is speakers or writers are just using the multiple languages by the just having the one code switching a single act, and that is going to be just changed with the transcript, we can say with the text out of that. That is called as a code switching. Code switching is enormously common across the world, and here are the some examples showing Spanish and transliterated Hindi code switching with the English. So some of the we can say examples are there, applications are there. Whenever we need to just translate the one language, if we are writing in the English language somewhere, and we need to just change with the that particular paragraph into the other language, so that is going to be switched with the particular sense of the written word, that spoken word, and that is going to give us the proper we can say transcription of that particular sentence or audio file. So that is a method that is called as a code switching. So that is very very useful nowadays. Now, what is genre? Let's talk about genre. So that is another dimension of variation in the different documents. So the text that our applications must process, that might come from the newswire, whenever it is using the category fiction, non-fiction books, scientific articles, and Wikipedia and religious text. So the algorithm need to process those all with the different varieties of the categories of the text. A document, it might come from the spoken genre, like a telephonic conversation, business meetings, policy body worn cameras, medical interviews, transcript of the television shows or movies. So this is all making a genre, we can say category of the different documents, and in that condition, the algorithm and the different models will be applied on that. So according to the task, we need to just identify the right corpus document for that. So that is called as a genre, whenever we are having the different variations of document with each other. It might come from the work situations. Whenever there is a work culture, if doctors are making some notes, there is legal text by the different lawyers. Whenever the parliamentary congressional proceedings are going on, so they are going to just produce these different type of variations and categories of the document. So text also reflecting from that the demographic characteristics of the writer. A speaker can be different, that will be different on their age, gender, their race, socio-economic class. So these all we can say functions, classes that is going to influence the linguistic properties of this task that is we are going to process, our researchers are going to process, students. So if I will say finally that time matters too also. So language change over the time, and for the some languages we could have the good corpora of text considered as a historical period over the historical periods. So genre is just coming out of the professions, that is coming out of the different we can say demographic situations or characteristics that is going to just make our we can say document a corpora more generic, more we can say more categorical out of the that is going to just change over the time also. So time will be the one key aspect of the taking the different genres and categories. It will depend totally on the time slots, and that is going to make the linguistic property more complex. So whenever we are applying the different tasks on that, we should be more careful as a linguistic person, as a researcher or user. So the extraction of these type of tasks will be just rightly applied with the right algorithm and models. And now I will talk about the dataset, because the language is so situated, and when developing the computational models for the language processing from the corpus. So basically it is important to consider who produced the language, who is going to just make that purposeful, in what context, for what purpose they are going to consider. So how can a user of a data set know all these details? So basically the best way is for the corpus, that corpus creator is going to build a data set, a data statement for the each corpus. So there are many corpus has been pre-loaded in the NLTK library that has been created by the different creators, that has there are audio files also, so that we can call as a speakers. So basically that will call as a data set that will be just created by some users, creators, speakers, and that is going to give us the result as a data set with the proper event, that is going to make a date and time and second with the when it has been created, who has authored that, who is the author of that particular data set, that corpus or corpora. So that is the main advantage of the corpora. When we are going to use, that is going to give us the data set of that, data set properties of that. So let's discuss about dataset properties. Motivation for that particular, why I have considered that, why was the corpus collected, by whom we have collected, who is funded it, why it has been created to help us, so that we can do research on that. So situation was when and in what condition it was the text written and spoken. So for example, if I'll consider example for that, was there a task, if there is a specific task to just complete, just make that particular corpora data set. So that was the language originally spoken, conversation, edited text was there, social media communication was there, a monologue was there, also dialogue was there. So what was that actually? So we need to identify the situation in that condition when we are considering the dataset properties, when we are checking with the dataset properties who have created by the different users and speakers. Now I will say about the language variety. So what language, that including the dialect and region out of that is having the geographical properties. So what language was in the corpus? So that will also considered when we are talking about the dataset properties. what is the speaker demographic is, what was, and for example, age or gender of the author was, for that generating that text, generating that document or corpus. What was the collection process, how it was collected. So these all property will be just, we can read whenever the corpus will be given. There will be given one document, and in that document basically we can see these all properties has been written. This all will be collected whenever the corpus will be made. So in the collection process, we can see how big the data was, if it is a subsample, what was the its sample, so what was the main sample, from where we have taken the subsample, what was the data collected from, with consent. Either we have taken the consent from the author, if we have taken from the main sample. So these are all, what was the data pre-processed and what was the metadata available. So metadata is the information about the data. So these all will be just we can read in the dataset properties whenever we need to just if we will take the corpus or corpora from the different places, the document will be there, so we can just read those all properties out of that. So this was all about the today's topic. Thank you for watching. So there will be the annotation processes, what was annotations were there, what was demographics of the annotators who have just done the annotation out of that, how were they trained or not, why it was needed to do that, how it was done, the annotation. These all, what was the distribution of the data sheet. Means distribution is nothing but when it is going to be legalized, when that was copyrighted or not, are they are copyrighted, are they having the intellectual property restrictions to use by the different users. They need to just take the consent whenever they are going to just just use those corporas. So that is all about the today's topic. Thank you for watching.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.